Bob.
It's
I was afraid of this.
and we touched on this before, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And now we saw it up close and personal because it happened with Geno.
Right.
And I went back and rewind, watch. And I'm going, he hit him inbounds. Geno was in a full sprint. That's a football play. He tackled him. He's the guy with the ball. Then he left his feet. He's hanging. He landed on Geno's legs. Geno got mad. Geno picked up a penalty after that because he was still mad, which was can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the game, there's no room in this game for that kind of stuff, and just talked about it like it was the dirtiest thing ever. And I'm looking at that going, I'm sorry, man, you're wrong. There was nothing dirty about it. There was no intent behind it. It was a football play, and now we're hearing that NFL owners at their fall meetings are talking about the issue of banning the drop tackle. I'm thinking, what is happening here? At what point is it seriously going to be flag football or touch football? Because I don't know how much can go through your mind, Dave, as a guy who's making a tackle. At that moment, you see the guy with the ball, and you're in a full sprint, and you get your hands on him. How in that split second are you to go, okay, are my feet off the ground? I can't drop my hips. Okay, I can't hit with my head. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all that you're going to be able to compute all of that within fractions of a second.
Right. And, and the thing is that it happens so quickly. The other day I was going down the hallway and I was like on the inside part, and then Shannon was coming the other way, and I was looking at something, and then, you just all the, you get like, okay, and that's a great example of how, okay, whenever that happens, I want you to put your head down so it doesn't, this or that. It happens so quickly. And like I always say, as far as how your brain fires, there's a speed limit for humans. I mean, there's only so much you can do. So, and this has become a big deal. You see that Goodell signed a contract through 2027. So, of course, he has to do something, right? Under his administration, he has to change something and make something, I'm the guy who's making everything safe. But, I was just reading this, the league, it was something that Rich McKay, who's the chairman of the NFL's competition committee, he released. And so it says the league made the horse collar tackle illegal several years ago because a defender's body weight ends up on the legs of the ball carrier, enhancing risk of injury. And now he's saying the hip drop tackle is a cousin of the horse collar. I'm like, oh, God, now we're calling it the cousin. What's happening on the hip drop is the defender is tackling the runner and then swinging their weight and falling on the side of their leg or ankle or knee. They're not swinging their weight, okay? Falling, yes, but not swinging. You don't swing your legs around. That's just called momentum and not being able to stop in midair because why? It's not the Matrix, Bob. You can't stop in midair.
So fast. It is so fast.
So even with that, I was looking, okay, what could have, it was Isaiah Simmons, right?
Yeah.
What could Isaiah Simmons have done there? I suppose what he could, and first of all, I would make the case that, like, it's really hard to tell exactly where you are on the field. I mean, if you've been playing for a while, you got a pretty good sense of 53 1/3, how wide it is, and, how much, where the boundary is. But, you don't entirely know. You can't calculate exactly like, okay, this guy's he's going to fall inbounds or out of bounds or whatever. But then, the other thing that maybe he could do, and this is where I could maybe buy it, maybe just shove him out of bounds until that becomes a penalty.
Well, but
right?
Haven't we seen guys try to do that and the guy still is able to turn it upfield?
Yeah,
what if he gains a precious 3 yards that's the difference between fourth down and first down?
Right.
Because you didn't want to tackle him, you shoved him. I didn't shove him hard enough, or I didn't have my footing under him to shove him. But if I would have just dove, I would have been able to wrap him up. Maybe I would have dropped weight. It's so mindless, Dave. It is so counterintuitive to football. I'm not saying everybody needs to be put in harm's way at every moment, and don't try to improve safety. Don't try to improve the gear. Don't try to improve the surfaces. Do it. Yes, if you've got technology that can help. But when you're talking about the fundamentals of the game, and you're saying, well, this is the way this game's been played for decades, and we're going to now change that. This is the way you were taught from Pee-wee on up, and this is what you do. But now, you got to do it completely differently, and you need to do it while you're in midair.
Yeah, I was watching the NFL Network. Of course, it's the NFL Network, right? So everything is pro whatever the NFL is promoting. They're trying to promote this, Roger Goodell, everything. And so I think it was Judy Batista. She's like, well, these are highly trained athletes. They'll figure it out. they'll be able to do it. They're saying they can't do it, but they'll be able to do it. I'm like, they still haven't been able to fix the whole helmet-to-helmet thing because it's not possible. Anytime you don't hit somebody in the helmet, it's an accident. It's by chance. So, yeah, just that kind of pressure, like, oh, they'll figure it out, it just pisses me off. It's like you don't, unless you've been out there. And also, here's another thing. Let's stop showing these things in super slow motion because
so
that's
deceptive.
Not how it happens on the field. So, yeah, I just more and more, and I was texting Bump and, the whole pregame, postgame, and even asked, I said the offensive guys like Bump and Ray and, B. Walt and Turbo. I'm like, what do you guys think about that? And they're all like, I think it's ridiculous. And the other thing, Bob, is not just the one on Geno. Like I said, I can maybe see that. They show another one where Barkley gets hurt, and of course it's one where he gets hurt, where it's inside the box in the line of scrimmage, and it's like there's like a scrum there, and a guy makes a tackle and somehow falls on the guy's legs, and then of course Saquon gets up limping. How do you stop that? I mean, that's like there's bodies everywhere, and anybody could fall on the back of his leg. So, yeah, I mean. And the other thing, I was asking, like, it's always the defenders that are supposed to change, but there's a couple of things on offense, like the crackback block. Ray Roberts brought that up. So that's one where, but I just, again, it's trying to make, like, a crackback block is awesome. Like, it's awesome to watch. That's a great part of football. And
explain for those that don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's what you're a defender and, a receiver or a tackle or something, and it's like usually in like open space, and he doesn't see you. Why? Because he's a dumbass.
His head's not on a swivel.
Yeah, you got to get your head on a swivel. So, I mean, really, yeah, it's so frustrating. But there is a couple of those things, and we saw Ken Walker get called for cutting outside, or he started at the wrong angle and he cut the defensive lineman. So there's a few things that do protect the defense, I guess, but mostly it's whatever protects the quarterback. I get that, but I just still don't understand what you want them to do. And I think the people who are legislating it, and also the people that are on the field or off the field, like Judy Batista saying, oh, yeah, well, they should be able to get that done. I always felt like they should take the rule makers and the officials and take them out like on some kind of a simulated obstacle course. Have them run full speed, and then, at a certain point, put either red light or green light and see if they can stop.